Sometimes, the light of Christ shines brightest when it bleeds through the cracks of a broken heart. Real people, real stories of hope for the hurting, and triumph over tragedy through faith in Jesus Christ. This is Out of the Grave with Rob and Dave.
Hey, welcome to another exciting edition of Out of the Grave with Rob and Dave. I'm Rob.
I'm Dave.
And we have I say this every time, we have a special guest. But Dave, this is actually a friend of yours if you want to introduce her.
Yeah, this is Jennifer Mollineda. And we've been friends for a little while on Facebook. And she's been giving me health advice and stuff like that. So pretty cool. Welcome to the show, cool. Jennifer.
Thank you. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. And, like Rob had said before we started, is, we just let the Holy Spirit lead. And, the floor is yours, whatever you want to share, what your life was like before coming to Christ, what led you to come to Christ, what he's done in your life since.
Okay. So I got introduced to the Lord when I was about 14. And so I received the Lord at 15. And growing up in the church, as a teenager, I got involved with a lot of ministries and serving and missionary events. And then I graduated from high school, went to college, and I studied for criminology and biology. And from there, God led me to reconnect with my grandparents. And so that's where it kind of all started, with me getting involved with serving them. And I was my grandfather's caregiver for about 4 years. And sharing with them the word, because they were not believers. So God used me to share with them the word, and they received the Lord, God, within 13 years. So never give up on prayer, because the Lord answered our prayer in 14 years, and my grandfather received the Lord. And so he was saved after so many years and working with him. I got involved with healthcare at that time. So now it's been 17 years since I've been working in the medical field. And recently, the Lord put in my heart to serve others in a holistic approach in medicine. And so, 4 years ago, the Lord put a sister in my path and shared with me this gift of health. And so, with me being a single mom at the time, I had two little ones. My health was really declining. And so I was a diabetic. I had high blood pressure. I had chronic migraines and high stress levels, and diabetes were basically, not serving me because I wasn't taking care of me. And so by not taking care of myself, I wasn't able to take care of my daughters. I had a 1-year-old and a 2.5-year-old at that time. And so now moving forward, I started just paying it forward. And the Lord just been putting a lot of people in my path right now. And by God's grace, been able to help them with their health, getting off medication, getting them stronger in their needs. And the good thing of the blessing about this that I do now, it's not only about physical health. It's more of, as well as working with the mental, personal development, mental health, spiritual health, financial health. So it's basically kind of like, you would say, like a pie. Everything has to be balanced in order for it to work together. And one of the things that I know Scripture says is we have to take care of our temple that the Lord gave us. So that's one of the main priorities for me is, if I'm doing it, my daughters are doing it. If I'm not doing it, they're going to get those bad habits. So it kind of trickles down to, breaking that chain, that bondage, because food is and can be a bondage for some people. So yeah, that breaking that food addiction is really also.
I understand that. I love food, and I got a belly to prove it. So
makes two of us.
Yeah.
And that's something that you can still do. You can still fix all those triggers and what's causing those triggers and breaking those habits.
Yeah, absolutely. So You came to Christ. You said you were introduced at 14, made the decision to give your life to Christ at 15. Before that, I mean, because that's kind of young. What was your life like before that? Were you just typical kid, just going to school and?
Yeah, we grew up it was kind of very Catholic background.
Okay.
My grandparents were very, very dedicated Catholics, but they weren't into the whole, where the statues and all, the different things that Catholicism, brings up with kids. So it was really, my grandfather really believed in the Trinity, as a Catholic. So I've never seen him put altars or, worship, statue. So for me, it was kind of like he was still a believer, but it was just, where he needed to come to the cross and receive the Lord. Yeah. And my grandmother was a little bit more on the ritual side because she grew up, very different. So it was a little bit of a battle right there. But overall, I took it in. I observed a lot. And, I got to meet my great-great-grandparents.
Oh,
so
wow.
I kind of grew up in a way where I can see different mindsets.
Okay.
I would say. My grandmother from my mom's side of the family, her side of the family is from a small town. And so the culture was very different versus my dad's side of the family from the city. Completely opposite. So I was able to obtain two different types of environments. And my grandfather's side of the family was very holistic. They had a farm, they had, animals, and they had their gardens, and he was an agriculturist too. So, a lot of that holistic approach I grew up with because my grandmother would cook everything from scratch.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, we have a lady that I work with. She's, I don't know, upper 70s maybe, but she's in better health than I am for sure, and then a lot of people. She's really into everything holistic. She's actually got this big book, and if you tell her I've been struggling with whatever, she opens it up. She's usually got a vitamin or something. Because, with my chronic pain, I was on basically narcotics for, 12, 13 years. And I finally got off of them. But I'm wondering, because, it seems like to me, you're talking about health, and this is interesting because I'm just now beginning to, and I'm turning 55 in 2 months. So I'm just now beginning to realize that there's a correlation between what I eat and the way that I feel. I mean, can you talk about that?
Yeah, definitely. So, Rob, there is a correlation with that because 90% of your health is what you eat, what you put in your body. 10% is physical activity, exercise, walking. And so a lot of times for me, when I first started my health journey, I did it the opposite way. I was under the misconception of exercise, right. An hour a day, do the cardio, do the weights, and then, eat whatever you want, which is, or try to eat healthy, but you're not really sure of how much calories to eat. And, and so, when a person is, let's say 1 pound overweight, that's an additional 5 pounds on your knees and your back. So if you're, if a person is 50 pounds overweight and they're going to the gym and trying to, hit the weights and do all the cardio, 50 times 5 pounds, per pound, that's a lot of weight on your knees, on your back, and the stressors on your heart, so you're double working yourself because your weight is not where, I would say you want to be at, and you can damage yourself or hurt yourself by doing the physical activity versus a person that gets into their ideal weight, and then they start toning and doing the exercise. Your body's not going to stress so much with the overexertion of the excess weight in our bodies.
It's interesting. Right. You mentioned, the weight making your back and your knees hurt and stuff. Now, I don't have issues with, my knees. if in fact, I was at a doctor appointment yesterday and I got a compliment I wasn't expecting. He looked at me, he said, I have very defined calves in my legs. Yeah, and I think he might have been, but anyway, I'll cut that part out. I'll cut that part out.
Right.
But anyway,
offensive.
Just being real.
yeah, there you go. Yeah, just being real. And I don't know, because like I don't like work out or anything like that. I think I still kept a little bit of my, I guess you could say, physique, because 20 years ago I was skinny. I had 6-pack abs. I was muscular, and I didn't even work out back then. I just had incredibly good metabolism, and I had a very physical job at the time. I was lifting real heavy stuff all day, every day. And so that's that. I guess that was my exercise. But, and then, you know, I hit about 30 and the muscles went bye-bye and hello, fat, you know, and I kind of I had desk jobs working at call centers, and it was just, you're sitting there all day. And next thing you know, you're eating snacks and crap that you shouldn't be eating. And, and even to this day, you know, I got certain things I like to eat. My wife and I, we like to snack, you know, we like our sweets, you know, she loves Oreos and ice cream, and I'm into, you know, chips and stuff like that. But, but lately though, the past few months I've been really trying to take a little, you know, better care of myself. It's just weird. You know, I got the belly, I got a little bit of man boobs. And so it's, well, I don't know, whatever you call it, but it robbed me to face. But anyway, you know, and it's you don't realize as you get older the changes your body, you know, goes through, because towards the end of 2019, I had no energy, no motivation, do nothing. I was tired all the time. All I ever wanted to do was just sleep. And it's all I was doing. And then I realized, I'm like, okay, something's wrong here. I need to find out what's going on. So I went and saw a doctor, had a blood test done, came back, and they said, you have virtually no testosterone. I mean, it was that low. It was like almost not even there. And so since then, I've been on testosterone injections, and I get those every 2 weeks, and I've had more energy, and, you know, it's just great. And, you know, you're growing hair in places that you don't need it. And, you know, I would really like to have it on my head, but,
Right.
But, you know, and, but yeah, you know, I definitely want to take better care of myself and not just lose the weight, but I do want to put some muscle back on. I mean, not like Schwarzenegger, you know, big, but at least, you know, defined and you know, fit. So, and I was rambling on there. So,
Yeah, no, I'm just now again beginning to realize that there's again a correlation between, you know, what you eat and the way that you feel. Because I know, you know, my body, I mean, I wouldn't even, it would honestly take me probably, you know, 3 solid minutes just to explain everything that's wrong with me. So, you know, I'm totally messed up. But yeah, I had heard that, Jennifer, about the 5 pounds of pressure for every 1 pound. And I think the reason why this is important is because so many of God's people, man, I see it on Facebook. You guys probably do too. So many people are dealing with depression, with despair, with, you know, with all these things. I mean, that's what I've been going through the last 3 weeks. That, you know, that's why it took so long between, you know, shows 15 and 16, you know, and I really am wondering, Jennifer, how much of that is due, you know, to, yeah, it's the times and, you know, spiritual attacks or whatever. But I'm also wondering how much of that is due to us just, like you say, treating our temple really lousy.
Yeah, a lot of it is our habits. You know, we really don't know what triggers us because everybody has different triggers. You know, some people that are in high stress levels, they stress eat.
Yeah,
you know,
it's a
they
comfort,
go for the sugars.
that they call it comfort food. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah, and others, when they stress, they don't eat, and so they lose the weight. So it's completely opposite. I actually worked with a client who was in really, really high stress levels where she got, to the point where she couldn't drink water because she would gag,
Wow.
and that's because the malnourishment that she was not even putting in her system because she wasn't eating due to, high stress levels in her life. So she reached out and I was working with her, and within the first week of, baby steps, because, you can't just tell a person, eat all this food or eat this, because if their system is not used to it anymore,
They're not going to like it.
You have to start little pieces at a time. Yeah. So I started working with her, and within the first week, she gained 4 pounds, healthy weight.
Okay.
Wow.
And so it was working on her sleep, working on, breathing techniques, challenging and choosing what was best for her as well. If you don't eat, your body's shutting down, your organs are shutting down. And so she was having all these issues, medical issues, because of lack of nutrition. And the opposite goes with someone that's a stress eater or eats for, like you said, just for comfort. And so, when we eat for comfort, we eat a lot of the foods that are processed. They have a lot of preservatives. And so all that goes into our system. We eat it and you gain the weight, but it's more than just the weight. You get all these chemicals in your system, the sugars, the carbs, and your body starts getting inflamed. The inflammation kicks in.
Wow. See, I never realized that. Like, I always knew that, like, because it gets confusing, and I don't know, you might agree with me, is, I have a hard time figuring out, okay, you got good carbs, bad carbs, and which are which. And because my doctor, my regular physician doctor, she tells me that I should eat, about 30 grams of carbs a day. And she was telling me, like, stay away from starches like potatoes and rice. But my wife and I, we love eating that stuff. I mean, I love me a good, fully loaded baked potato. Oh, yeah, But,
Right.
yeah. And, but like, and I was going to say earlier is like back pain. I notice, like, because I sit down a lot because this is it. I mean, I work at home and I do my radio show. Rob and I do this, and then I do lyric videos and other things, for record labels and so forth. And I don't get up and move around enough. And sometimes my sometimes my legs will let me know. I get like really restless legs. It's like, okay, I need to get up and move, and I'll walk around the house. But if I'm out somewhere, like say grocery shopping, and I'm walking around the store, I'd say after about 10 minutes, my lower back starts hurting. Sometimes my ankles start hurting. And it's because I'm not used to walking a lot.
Right.
And I just never really realized that. And like when you were talking about, and Rob, the 5 pounds of pressure per 1 pound. And see, I'm 5'7". I'm 48 years old, and I'm supposed to be like 180. And last time I weighed myself recently, I was 250. So I'm like 70 pounds overweight. And, some people, they look at me and they don't really see it because my shirts kind of hide it. So that's cool. But there was one time where I got up to 260. I think that was my heaviest. And my sister had looked at me, and first words out of her mouth, she's like, "Oh my God, you look like you're pregnant," And I joked with her and said, "We don't know who the mother is," but but I just joked with her like that. But yeah, and I took offense to it. I'm like, "Oh my gosh, really? Am I that fat?" She's like, "Yeah, you look like you are pregnant," and there was one time when, just real quick, when I was 17, I got up to 175, and my friends at school, they would pick on me, and they're calling me Porky and whatnot. So I pretty much stopped eating. All I ate all day, I would eat like a bologna sandwich, and then whatever mom made for dinner that night. That was it. That was all I would eat. And plus, 17 years old, you got like high metabolism. And in 3 months, I lost 40 pounds. I got down to 135. And one day my mom happened to see me without a shirt on, and she could see my ribs. And she was mad. She said, why are you so skinny? And I told her, and she says, I want you to start putting weight back on. So I gradually got up to a good weight, like, 150, 155. But yeah, I remember, she was mad.
Right. Yeah, I think it's a lot bigger problem than, and I don't think, honestly, I think we need more discussions like this, because I don't think we're connecting the dots. You know, and I think that's the enemy trying to block that, because what got me thinking about this was this lady I was talking about at work. She was getting ready to go fill in for the receptionist for an hour at lunch, and somebody had brought donuts to our department, and they said, hey, do you want to grab you a donut on the way down? She said, no, I don't want to fall asleep there at the desk while I'm answering phones, And I noticed that she's always got so much energy, so it got me thinking about that's what actually got me looking into all this stuff. Was I thought, okay, well, if there's something that can zap your energy, then maybe there's food that can actually feed that. I mean, but I don't know. Do you deal a lot with that, Jennifer? Because it's so confusing, like Dave said. Because you don't really know. Do you watch fat? Do you watch calories? Do you watch carbs? Do you watch your sugars? I mean, I don't. And again, I'm just at the beginning of this thing. So
yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So when I first started working on my health journey, I basically stopped all physical exercise because I started intaking 1,200 calories a day. So 6 small frequent meals a day. And so with that, your body has to get used to lower calories, but higher protein and the vegetables. You have to, incorporate your vegetables. And so I stayed off the sugars because my goal was to lose the weight because I was overweight, for when I started this program. And so, I had to retrain myself. It's like a rebooting of your metabolism where you got to reboot yourself like a baby. When a baby's born, wakes up, it needs to eat every 2 to 3 hours. It sleeps. And it recharges the body when a baby sleeps. So that's kind of where we lose it after, when we become adults, we lose that fast metabolism because we start eating unhealthy foods, or because we work so much, we skip meals, or, life happens. And so like for mamas, they're always nourishing and taking care of the kids and the husband and the house. So a lot of times we're the last ones to take care of ourselves. And so, I had to change my mindset. It's like, I need to take care of me to take care of everybody else. And just like, one of the things that just came to my mind was when Jesus was, resting, cause he was gonna, go and when he was serving in the ministry. And so one of the things that I remember is that he rested before going out to serve. He took care of his body. He rested. And so, I think that's one of the things that we need to do too. I know, a lot of the people in the church and the ministry are always serving others, but then they neglect to take care of themselves. And I had, I have a friend who reached out to me. She's a pastor's wife, and she wants to incorporate not only the spiritual health in the church, but she sees the need of physical health and behavioral health. Because there's a lot of people, like you just said, Rob, that there's people in the church that are depressed, or they're sick. And, church is a place where we come if we're sick, because God will restore and heal us and gives us the tools that we need to change, and to be refreshed. And so a lot of times I've seen that, the church focuses, yes, on service, yes, on your spiritual health, but what about the rest? The other components of your body to take care of yourself. And I heard a pastor say the other day, pastors are the worst eaters. I don't know, but I've seen my fair share of pastors, and when they have their buffets or they have their meetings, what kind of food are they eating?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, it's just some quick casserole that somebody threw together or something. Yeah. I remember the days of working at call centers, and we'd have like a potluck, and I was one of those people, like I I will cook for my wife and myself, or if I have guests coming over to the house, but anything like other than that, it's like, nah. So I was one of those people at potlucks, I brought the cookies, or I brought the bag of chips, or the 2 liter of soda. But that's a big one for me is giving up the soda. I've been able to do it before, but I keep coming back to it. Oh, and energy drinks. I love Monsters. And
yeah, I do too.
I don't drink enough of this water. So this is my first one of the day, actually. And I was drinking coffee before that. But for me, it's with water, I know I'm supposed to be drinking a lot of water, and I know it's good for you and everything. But I'm one of those people, like, I don't get thirsty very often for some reason. I really don't. And it's hard for me to make myself drink water or anything if I'm not thirsty. But then when I am thirsty, instead of water, I'm going toward, because to me, water doesn't have a taste. I want something with taste. So I'll go for the soda, the juice, tea, whatever, You know
what? That's one of the habits that I could say that changed, that I had to change. I would drink 8 cups of coffee versus a small cup of water a day. Yeah. So I had to learn how to incorporate that habit in my daily routine, because it's not easy for people to drink water. Just, 8 cups of water a day, the doctor would tell you, or, healthcare professional. And then you're like, oh my gosh, that's a lot of water. And so we drink a lot of caffeine. That does, remove some of that hunger, remove some of the takes that hunger away. But if you have too much caffeine, what it does, it triggers you to eat more. Because you feel like you're hungry, and it kind of dehydrates you. And so there's a lot of things that caffeine can't do. And so that's why it's limited. The caffeine drinks, the energy drinks, how much sugar do they have? How much caffeine do they have? You got to balance that out, because that will affect your hydration as well. And so that's one of the things, and it also affects your heart. It palpitates even more with the high caffeine in your system.
Yeah, I was shocked. I looked on, I can't remember the size of the Monster energy drink, because that's one of my weaknesses. And it said like 55 grams of sugar, and not studying this, I thought, okay, well, I don't know how much that is. Is that a lot? Well, I looked on there, and it turns out it's one energy drink had the same amount of sugar as, like 6 Krispy Kreme donuts. I mean, and I would never sit and eat 6 donuts. I mean, that's insane. I mean, that's the thing is, and again, me being at the beginning of this, I'm not even going to sit here and, and talk about my great habits, but this is something that I think the Lord is showing me, and some others as well, because, like you said, we get so busy and we don't think about it. We think, oh, we're doing God's work. But, like you said, Jennifer, man, we forget to take care of the temple. I think all this stuff feeds each other. I mean, like I will stress eat, and then, you put on weight. So then the weight adds to the back pain and the hip pain and the leg pain. And then the pain causes, depression. And so then you're eating for that. And it's just this,
It's cycle.
Yeah.
Oh, it's terrible. Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, I think so many of us, and I will admit that I've been there, just been trapped there for a long, long, long time.
And I think one reason for that is, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead.
Okay. I was just going to say is Rob, and I know for me too, is I think one reason for that is because we get so used to it. You go so long doing it that it just becomes normal for you, Yeah.
It's a habit, and we have bad habits. That's the thing. We're not. One word that my wife has been using lately is purposeful. She said we have to be purposeful about this. We can't just show up to work and say we're going to run out and get something at lunch. We have to get up. We've been getting up in the morning and trying to make a healthy lunch, and we're being purposeful about it. When we go to the grocery store. That kind of thing. We're buying more fruits and vegetables and things like that. And we get so busy. I think that we don't even. It doesn't even occur to a lot of us, honestly.
Yeah, because there's times where I'm hungry, but I really don't feel like cooking anything, and I'm not and I'm not the kind of person to sit there and just cook a meal just for myself. So And sometimes I'll admit if I can't microwave it, then forget it,
Right.
like give me some Hot Pockets or something, but and I don't know about you guys, but like my wife and I, we love to go out to restaurants to eat. And we do that occasionally. And sometimes we'll be out and about, like, we'll go to the grocery store, and on the way to the grocery store, on the way home, it's like, hey, I'm hungry, and we stop and get like some Whoppers at Burger King,
Right.
and it's like, yeah, we can't be doing that. I mean, we know it's bad, but it's like you're hungry and it's quick and they taste good,
Yeah. You have to get to the point where you're ready. I'm just now getting to the point, like I said, where, the Lord is beginning to show me these things. One simple thing, I don't know, Jennifer, in your experience, maybe you can talk about this, but somebody had said that, has been actually eating healthy for his whole life, I think. But he had said, he told me, don't make it this big grand, thing. He said, just think about every day, think about reducing your sugar and increasing your protein. He said to start simple. I don't know. You think that's good advice or no?
I think it's good for a start.
Okay.
Like I love the word.
That's what I'm doing. I'm starting.
I love the word your wife is using, purposeful. What is your purpose? You guys have this amazing ministry here. That's one of your purposes. To share and to minister to those out there. And so, being purposeful, yes, you think about one of the tools that I use is stop. You stop before you, it's like that donut at the office. There's a donut there. So your goal, if you have a goal, I want to lose 20 pounds. Is you eating that donut gonna get you to your goal faster, or eating that donut gonna take you 3 steps back towards that goal?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that, that I help my clients with and those around me is like, okay, stop, think about it, challenge it. Is this going to be for my well-being, or is this going to hold me back?
Right. Don't be so mindless about it. Yeah. Which I've been my whole life, I think. So.
Yeah. And then just choose the right option for you. If you want to eat the donut, go ahead. There's, you got that liberty to do it. There's grace. You can always go back. But is it going to take you where you want to go? And I think with choices in life that we, that we have, and anything that we come to, we have to stop, challenge it, and then choose the right direction on what we want to do or where the God wants us to do, because we got to pause and meditate on it, pray about it. And if it's God's will, you're going to have a peace about it, and then you can go forward. And, once you start going forward, then, you got that control. One thing that I heard is food controlling you, or you controlling food?
Right.
Yeah.
It's actually a good thought.
When I cook dinner, and I try to do it as much as I can, because my wife, she works all day. She works from home too. And I'll try to have dinner ready for her, by the time she gets off work. And I always try to cook meat, so that we at least have some protein. And, we do boneless, skinless chicken breast. That's the only way I'll eat it. I'm weird like that. I do not like bones in my meat. I don't know. I just don't.
Yeah.
And so we do that, or we'll do boneless pork chops. Sometimes we'll do that. We really rarely ever eat like red meat. Like I'll make something with some ground beef, we like sloppy joes. So, there's that. But, I like to eat, like sometimes for lunch, I'll just make myself like a bologna sandwich. And, and I've been told, bread is bad for you. You shouldn't eat bread and whatnot. But it's like, well, I'm not going to just, take like a slice of bologna and roll it up and just munch on that, but, maybe put some cheese in there. I don't know. But But yeah, I at least try to do that, and I'll marinate the chicken, or the pork chops with different marinades, and sometimes I just use the breadcrumbs, and what I learned to do that actually makes the breadcrumbs stick on there a little better is put honey on there, and then put the breadcrumbs on; they'll stick on there better, and plus, it makes it taste sweet. So there you go.
Yeah. Well, and again, we're, my wife and I are doing all this research. She doesn't have near the weight that I have to lose. But, I think that we have to get to the point where we're ready for it, and I think that as Christians, I think the Holy Spirit cares about every part of us. I really do. Mm-hmm. Not just, our ministry, or not just, are we depressed or whatever. I think the Lord cares about all of it. I really do. I mean, but we have to get to the point where we're ready. And for those of us who get to that point, that's when we need people like you, because again, like Dave said, it's so confusing. I mean, for every idea, there's at least, 10 books on how you can lose weight doing that.
Well, and then on top of that,
you know where to start.
Yeah. And every time you turn around, they say, eat this. The next thing you know, they're like, don't eat that, eat this. That. Yeah. And it's like, wait a minute. Yeah. And I've seen that happen so many times, 1 minute they're saying this type of food is good, go ahead and eat it. And then they're like, don't eat it. And you're like, what am I supposed to do? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that. And I mean, I used to be a yo-yo dieter, everything that's, popular. Oh, that diet is working, try that. But not everything works for everybody. I know it's customized. And one of the things that, the Lord's been guiding me is to help those that are on medications, those that are very comfortable working with diabetics, honestly, type 1, type 2 diabetic. And so one of the things that I've been able to do is help them get off medication.
Oh, wow.
And I actually, I have that piece about it because I used to have gestational diabetes. I used to be type 2 diabetic. Now with, managing my nutrition and just being on a simple program, learning how to eat and portion controlled meals, that's how I've been able to sustain myself and be off medications now for 4.5 years.
Wow. And
you don't have diabetes
anymore?
My wife's family. Yeah.
So that's I have not had any medication for diabetes because the A1C is supposed to be 5.5 or lower to be under medication. Hold on. Sorry about that. So one of the things that I was saying is, when they say once you're diabetic, you're always a diabetic, but you can be on controlled diabetes per se, where you're not taking any medications, but through nutrition, proper nutrition, and your sugar levels stay under a certain, the 5.5 A1C. Then you're basically not putting all that extra chemical in your system.
See, I've been kind of borderline. I think my last one, because my doctor's been checking that too, because I've been like borderline diabetic, and I think my last one was 5.2, and she was really happy, about that. And but my wife, unfortunately, she's diabetic. I'm not sure if it's 1 or 2, but she takes a ton of different medications for it, and her last A1C check recently actually was a 7.1. And that was pretty high. And, but, I should probably have her talk to you, Jennifer. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I'd be humbled and honored to speak with her. I can give you my husband's testimony. He is type 1 diabetic. And when we first he got diagnosed, he was at 14. A1C was 14.3, I believe.
Whoa.
So it was...
I didn't even know you could go that high.
Well, he did. And by God's grace, he's still here because he went into a diabetic coma. for about 24 hours.
Oh, man.
Wow.
And so, that time it was really difficult. And that's what made me trigger my health, look at my health at that time. And so, moving forward, I had the doctor, I had to go with an endocrinologist, and they tested him. And the first, the A1C would not go down. And so I was like, why isn't it going down? He's on insulin, he's on medication, everything. And so I had the doctor, I had a hunch, and I was like, can you check him for what type of diabetes he has? Because I know there's type 1, which juvenile diabetes, and type 2, the onset when you're an adult.
Oh, okay. So she's got 2. Okay.
There's 2 types of diabetes. Okay. Yeah. And so one of the things that he checked was, you know what? He has type 1 diabetes, not type 2. So he wasn't being treated for the type 1, which is, yes, it's
so he had always had it and didn't know.
He didn't always have it, but he got it later in life.
Okay.
Yeah. Wow. And so once we knew what type of diabetes he had, then I was able to work with him with his nutrition. And within 6 months, his A1C went down to 6.1.
Wow,
and he's
awesome.
under control now. So,
very cool.
Yeah. And I think that the ability of working with physicians and being in that, having that background has given me that comfort to be able to help those that are struggling, especially with diabetes, because I went through it, and it's just a passion of me helping them, because later in life, the complications of diabetes, losing body parts, organ failure, loss of vision. I mean, all those things, high blood pressure, heart issues, all kind of just are a cause of the diabetes.
Wow.
Yeah, my wife, her family, diabetes is really, really bad. I know before my mother-in-law passed away, and she was only 73 when she passed, which as I get older, I realize how young that actually is, because both my parents are older than that. And she actually had a special shoes made because her feet were like this. Her feet were so crooked that there was no way, she could fit into a regular shoe. It was just, and she had other problems too. But before she passed, she was taking 18 different medications. But yet she, again, wasn't purposeful about taking care of herself. It's a matter of stopping and saying, you can say, well, I'm older and who cares? And I deserve this. And I've had a bad day. Or like you said, you can stop, and say, and what I'm trying to train my brain to do is to say, how's it going to affect me? Chinese food is my absolute favorite. I mean, I know everybody has a favorite. My wife's is Mexican. Mine is Chinese. But I began to notice just the last few years in my 50s that after I eat it, I feel just terrible. I mean, I feel awful. Not guilty. I mean, physically. Yeah. I feel like I need a nap. And it just, and it's not just sleepy. It's almost like a mild flu or something. My body literally hurts.
Do you eat until you get full?
No, I just eat the normal amount, like like I've always eaten. It's not like I go to a buffet, and eat three big plates or something. But I just eat the same amount that I've eaten for years and years and years. But I begin to realize that after I eat something healthy, if I get a sub sandwich, from Good Sense or Subway or something on wheat bread, and this and that. Mustard, not mayonnaise, and again, all these purposeful decisions. I feel good versus the the Chinese and the Mexican, where I just feel just awful. And I think this is important. We're talking about this because I think so many people haven't linked the way they feel emotionally to the way they're feeling physically and what they're putting in their bodies. Because for a lot of us, it's just junk. I mean, honestly.
And yeah, you nailed it right there, because honestly, it's like if you eat garbage, that's what you're going to feel like.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pot meat kettle, that's me. So yeah, exactly.
I think a lot of the food that we buy outside too, it has a lot of oils, it has a lot of sodium. And so all that triggers, and the carbs, your body crashes with so much. It's like, one analogy that I've heard is if you have a house plant, you give it water, it'll grow. But what if you give it what you drink, coffee, energy drinks,
oh, wow.
soda? Is it going to grow, or is it just going to wither?
Yeah.
Wow. That's a good analogy. I like that.
Yeah, it's very cool. Oh, sorry. You can cut that part out. I'm so freaking tired.
I'll put a little thing up on the video. Rob falling asleep.
Yeah. I've not literally done that. So,
well, we are just about out of time for today. And wow, you've given us a lot of great advice and a lot of great information, Jennifer. And
this was a good discussion.
Yes, and it's been more than a blessing having you on the show today, and we appreciate you sharing everything with us. And we're friends, so of course I'll be staying in touch with you. And any parting words for anybody out there? Any advice you want to give somebody?
First of all, I want to thank both of you, because I'm honored and humbled to be here, as a guest. And if I can serve anybody that or any friend or family that are struggling, they can definitely reach out.
Do you have a Facebook page for your holistic?
I do.
It's
just my regular Jennifer Mollineda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And
maybe you can put that on the screen, Dave.
Yeah.
And they can reach out. I will, ask certain questions to see where they're at and if they're ready to go and, make that change for themselves, for their family. I know a lot of, older people are doing it because they have grandkids now and they want to live longer for their grandkids,
Yes.
And so it's that longevity and the life of having the energy and the strength to just continue going and serving their purpose.
Amen. Awesome. Well, again, Jennifer, thank you so much. And guys, just remember, you can catch Out of the Grave with Rob and Dave every Wednesday morning at 10 a.m. Central on gospelrockinradio.com. And if you're unable to tune in, we archive all of our episodes of our show on anchor.fm/outofthegrave. We're also on Spotify and we're on YouTube. So on YouTube, make sure that you subscribe and click the little bell so that you get notified whenever we upload brand new episodes of the show. And I always end everything off with be blessed and be a blessing to others.